Hi, I'm Steve from Sounds Heavenly. I'm sorry, I'm really excited. Can you see what we've got here in the workshop? If you're a vintage B&O collector, you'll know exactly what all the fuss is about, but if not, don't worry, I will explain everything. We've got a little piece of B&O history here, and the best thing of all is we're going to hear it working in this video. So please come and join me and let me share what for me is one of the most exciting videos of the year. So, what is all the fuss about and what is this? Let me explain very briefly. Now, back in 1934, Peter Bang, one half of the Bang & Olufsen partnership, was inspired by his Bauhaus office chair, which was the latest in minimalist style with chrome-plated steel tubes and black leather, and it was a world away from traditional Danish furniture. He had been building traditional style radios and gramophones at that point for around about 9 years, and he really wanted to do something that broke the mould. So he came up with the Hyperbo 5 RG steel. This was, in his mind, the ultimate Bauhaus inspired radio and gramophone unit with, again, chrome plated steel and black covered wood, and he saw this as being cutting edge Danish design. It was absolutely revolutionary at the time. However, it didn't take off quite as he expected. Danish design experts at the time absolutely slated it. One professor in Copenhagen said that radios like this had no part in the Bauhaus movement. Danish customers as well weren't enamoured with it, unfortunately. As wonderful and cutting edge as it looks even now, in 1934, for Danish middle class homes, this just wasn't seen as anything that was desirable. So less than 40 of these wonderful pieces of art were built. Very, very few of those were ever sold to customers. And from what I can gather, the majority were cannibalised for parts for the more popular traditional wooden radiograms, and then the remaining parts were destroyed. Now, is this a genuine original 1934 Hyperbo 5 RG steel? No. Only one exists, and believe me, along with a lot of other people have done a lot of research on this, the only remaining original Hyperbo 5 RG steel is an empty shell in a museum in Oslo. The one in the Struer Museum is not a genuine original item. I'll explain more in a moment. But this, very briefly, this was special, not just in terms of its design, but also technically. Now, this was based on Bang & Olufsen's Hyperbo 5 RGF, their furniture version of the radiogram. It had an electrically powered and amplified gramophone in the lid. It had a high quality medium wave and long wave tuner it was a 5 lamper, so basically 5 radio valves, and it had for the time, a very powerful 4-watt amplifier and a large high quality full range speaker driver. So this was not just a piece of furniture or a work of art, but this was pretty much cutting edge in terms of home audio at the time. So this design, despite the fact it didn't take off in 1934, was always seen by Bang & Olufsen as pretty much a high point or a turning point in their style for products and their approach. So 66 years later, in the year 2000, B&O wanted to celebrate their 75th anniversary. They found the original designs for the Hyperbo 5 RG steel, and they commissioned Danish craftsmen to make a very small number of exact replicas. And these were just empty cabinets. So I know of 3 of those and have featured them in the channel. One is the aforementioned model in the Struer Museum, which I understand Ronnie, who curates the Struer Museum collection, may have fitted original parts back to this. The second one is owned by a friend of mine in Sweden called Ulf, and again that's that has been retrofitted with original parts and is almost completely working, although with teething troubles, and you can hear that working on a video which I'll link to at the end of this one. And the third one was owned by a Danish B&O collector called Kim, and he has recently passed his B&O collection on to Bang & Olufsen themselves, and that forms part of their in-house historic collection, which again you can see in a video which I'll link at the end. And that has also been retrofitted with original 1930s parts, although from what I can see, I think that doesn't have original Hyperbo parts. It appears to have a Superbo chassis from the smaller radio unit and an equivalent gramophone added. So this is not one of those B&O replicas. It's not an original 1934 Hyperbo 5 RG steel. So what is it? Well, let's take a closer look. You may know, if you follow this channel, that very recently I had the absolute pleasure of visiting the Belgian Bang & Olufsen Museum, and Paul, who curates that amazing collection, is also a genius at design, and he has made a very small number of these 3D printed working 1/8 scale replicas of the Hyperbo 5 RG steel, and I was absolutely blown away when he kindly gifted one of them to me. And this is an absolute work of art. It is incredible, and we're going to hear this playing because this actually has, inside what would have been the record drawer of the original Hyperbo, it has an MP3 player, an OLED display, the speaker is functioning, the chrome Art Deco buttons function, the radio unit lights up, and it even has in the top a replica gramophone. So again, a huge thank you to Paul at the Belgian B&O Museum. This is quite incredible. So if we plug this in, you'll see that the radio tuner display lights up, and see if we can focus in here on the OLED display. Bauhaus style, inspired by Marcel Breuer, the designer of the original office chair that Peter Bang purchased. And that chair dated from 1928. Created by Paul Andrews. And his website is www.bomu.be, where you can see all the details of his amazing museum. As well as the display, we've got an MP3 player in here, loudspeaker. We'll show you that replica of the gramophone with a tone arm fitted as well. So let's hear it playing. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope that you've enjoyed this, even though this isn't an original 1934 Hyperbo. I hope you'll agree that this is something just as special, and this will be featuring regularly in my channel and on my videos. If you're interested in the videos I mentioned earlier, I'm going to put some links up on screen. So first, here's the link to Paul's Bang & Olufsen Museum in Belgium, which I highly recommend taking a visit to. Here's the review of Bang & Olufsen's historic collection, and then just here will be a link to the Struer Museum tour. Thank you for watching.